Welcome back to True Grit Down Under. This is part 4 of ThyGap's special episodic series on the Border-Gavaskar Test Series between India and Australia 2020-21. My name is Bogus Noog and I'm joined with my co-host
Being Brute.
And we are covering in this episode the breach of Gabba.
The fortress has finally fallen.
We followed the journey of the touring Indians right from Adelaide on to Melbourne and Sydney, and now finally we're at the doorstep of Brisbane for the final test at Gabba. So just make sure you guys check out the previous episodes as well. It is an absolutely fascinating story that unfolded over the course of this series. Write to us at mindthygap@gmail.com with your inputs, with your feedback. And you can hit us up on our socials. Instagram, we are at _ThyGap. In Twitter, we are at ThyGap. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you guys. So, Brute,
Bogus.
Let's set the context for just what was happening when the teams were getting into the Gabba test.
Yeah, so the series is poised at a good 1-1, and this is the last opportunity for either of the teams to make a meal of the series, right?
Yeah.
Either Australia can leverage the sentimentality of Gabba, and India can win the test and in turn win the series and retain the Border-Gavaskar trophy. Also, India has one more option of drawing the test and still retain the Border-Gavaskar trophy.
Exactly.
So yes, the possibility of India retaining is, I would say, healthy. But at this point, considering the history that comes into the ground at Brisbane, and cricket being the game of history and patterns, right?
Yep.
Cricket is a game which is very less seen to pull off a miracle.
Yeah.
So yes, the needle still points towards Australia to probably snatch the cup from India.
Case in point, that miracle that you referred was not pulled off for about 32 years now. And the last time a visiting team won at the Gabba was back in 1988, and it was Viv Richards' team.
A team filled with superstars.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. I mean, you name it, they had it. And mind you, one of the less spoken things about that West Indian team is their fielding.
Oh, yeah.
They were unbelievable fielders, extremely athletic, and you needed that kind of a team to defeat Australia at Gabba. And it just couldn't be replicated ever.
Yeah, history was not on India's side in that context, but from Australia's side as well, coming into the test, there were a few concerns. Just what happened in Sydney, the way Australians responded to the pressure at Sydney.
Yeah.
They desperately had to win this test match, but India only had to draw it.
Right. But there are other factors also kind of favoring the Australians. Let's not forget the lead of the pace attack, the troublesome Bumrah, he's ruled out. And Hanma Vihari, the hero of Sydney, he's ruled out.
Yep.
The hero of the series up till then, mostly with the ball and then a little with the bat, Ravichandran Ashwin, he's ruled out.
Yep.
And then the most favorite player of the public, especially in the field, in a series of dropped catches and missed runouts and whatnot, you had one guy who was standing tall and he's ruled out, Sir Ravinder Jadeja.
360 degree.
A true 360 degree player.
Yeah.
So all the stalwarts of Sydney test or up till the series, they are out of Indian team. So who do we got now? We got Mayank Agarwal back, substituting for Hanma Vihari.
Little bit unlucky missing out Sydney, but good that he's
fair
back
enough.
here.
But in that scenario, we couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, of course. That's why I'm just saying unlucky. That's
unlucky,
it. Yeah.
right? Then we have a very fresh all-rounder called Washington Sundar, who is predominantly known for his T20 prowess. And then we have another rising star from a small town like Salem, probably touching 30 as a number in terms of age.
Right.
But has proven to rise in ranks in the recent time, once again, predominantly in T20. T. Natarajan.
Golden boy.
Golden boy.
Who's having a golden series of his own.
Like a season of his own.
Yeah,
right?
a season of his own.
So then we got Shardul Thakur
in
the place of Bumrah, who has played about 11 balls the test
in his
level,
debut test at
before
Hyderabad.
Unfortunately got injured. So these are the guys who come. So Shardul Thakur, again, relatively unknown quantity, no sample set, no history of international performance.
Yeah.
And Mohammad Siraj, in his third test, was given the baton to lead the pace attack. attack.
Yeah, he was the experienced guy.
For all the people who feel that it's just about bowling, what difference does it make? Leading a pace attack or leading any bowling attack is not a joke. It means that you need to perform, you need to set an example, and it's in high pressure situation. You need to be the answers for the questions that the batsmen are throwing.
Right.
That's what it means being a lead pace attack. And
It means the captain is going to look at you when
every time
nothing's
the
happening.
chips are down.
Yeah.
So that's a huge responsibility coming in just the third test. Now, let's see on the Australian side. Steve Smith is back.
In form.
In form, extremely possessed by his previous demons.
Yeah.
And David Warner is still retained.
Yeah.
So we never know how he can be a threat purely on his potential. Bukowski got injured.
So Marcus Harris
comes
in.
Again, someone who has done really well.
A decent record.
Yeah. Surprising that he didn't they didn't stick with him. And with respect to the bowling, it's still the same for Australia.
Still the same, but expectedly, understandably tired bowling attack.
Right.
Because they had bowled more than 100 overs in the previous 2 innings.
Right.
And between Sydney and Gabba, there was hardly a gap of 4 or 5 days.
Absolutely. And another thing which I think went unnoticed is the lower order. Cameron Green showed the potential that he can almost score 100.
Yes.
So that's a danger sign again.
And excellent fielding.
And we never know. He's an all-rounder. So, he can bowl those.
He's 6 feet 7.
6 feet 7. And he's bowling a decent 130, 140 pace.
Yeah.
So on Gabba, considering the history, even he can be dangerous. So that's how it's set up. Now let's go into the match, Bogus.
There was a lot of consternation from the Indian side about going to Brisbane and playing because the Queensland government had their own expectations of quarantining and following their own COVID protocol. Yeah. But ultimately, BCCI did play nice with Cricket Australia and agreed to go to Brisbane. And when they ended up reaching there, the hotel that they landed at, there was no room service.
Yeah.
There was no access to the pool. And it was completely unreasonable given how the tour or the season had played out until then.
Yeah.
It was just because it was a different province in Australia and they wanted to do it differently.
It was almost like cheap thrills of, the hotel or the Australian Cricket Board that, hey, let's just rattle them up mentally off the field. And, kind of get them in that restless mind frame.
Yeah,
by irritating them.
And I don't think we could be blamed for thinking that because these guys, it's a broken down team.
Yeah.
A lot of bubble time, a lot of isolation, a lot of physical injuries. Even the guys who are playing have niggles all over their body. And you don't allow them to get to a pool. You don't give them room service. It's crazy.
Just to paint a picture, we are not able to survive in one room, working from home.
Yeah.
Even though we have tasks to do.
Yeah.
Right? We get rattled up saying that, okay, you know what, I want to break free. I want to just go out for a ride or you just need that venting, right? You need something to distract yourself, kind of switch off from your work. And these are guys who are playing in high pressure scenarios.
Yeah.
These are guys representing the national team. Imagine the kind of stress they are going through, both mentally and physically. And on top of it, they don't even have a venting. You have to pile up all that stress and pressure and still perform. That's how challenging it is. And it's so unfair.
And on the Australian side, it was a momentous occasion for Nathan Lyon because it was going to be his 100th test match for
Big
Australia.
Feat. Congrats to
Nathan Lyon.
And very close to 400 wickets.
Very, very close to 400
wickets
wickets. So it would have been a fairy tale finish if he got to his 400 wickets in his 100th test match.
And help his team to win.
With his family at the ground, watching him play.
Yeah.
So that's everything that was happening going into the Gabba test.
Absolutely true. It was high on emotion. It was high on sentimentality.
Just the occasion.
It was high on history.
Yeah.
And more importantly, it was high on where the series was poised.
Yeah.
It was a do or die for Australia. It was...
Just don't die for India.
Yeah, just don't die.
Yeah. We've seen up to 9 or 10 replacements at this point.
Yeah. Almost a third grade team.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's just insane to think of.
Yeah. It's almost like a Dilip Trophy team or a Ranji Trophy team.
And they're going up against history. They're going up against the best bowling attack in Test cricket.
Yeah.
The stakes could not have been higher going into the Gabba test. Let's see how it went. So, Brute, first innings takes off in Gabba. As is the tradition now, India lose the toss again.
In Gabba, you bat first, score as many as you can, play out days, and put the opposition under pressure. That's the strategy that Gabba always went with because it is not a chasing ground. Gabba's highest chase was about 230 odd runs, which is not
Winning
even
chase, you mean?
Winning chase.
Yeah.
The highest chase score, right?
Yeah.
So that's how tough it is in Gabba. So we lose the toss, they go into bat.
And we also think, oh, we're so clever, we'll get 5 bowlers to bowl in this Gabba test as well.
Yeah.
But then, as per tradition,
we had Destiny was like, oh,
Yeah.
you have 5 bowlers.
yeah.
Look again.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
have 4 bowlers.
And then we saw what? And Navdeep Saini is walking
Now
off.
Saini is having a groin injury, not able to bowl anymore. But
Great bowling.
great bowling. We had Natarajan who met all my expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, he bowled so well. He bowled to his field, didn't leak runs. You know the funny thing about Natarajan, and I was telling you while the match was going on, I somehow felt Australians didn't understand whether to attack him or like play him off.
Right.
And by the time they could figure him out, Rahane did a great job by taking him off the attack. And the next time he came in with a completely different angle. So he bowled round the wicket, he bowled over the wicket, then he was going back to round the wicket. They had zero clue. And by the time they could figure him out, they already gave him 3 wickets.
Yeah, and both of us were really looking forward to Natarajan getting into the squad
Yeah.
and actually playing.
Yeah.
But both of us had different reasons. My reason was that just look at the way the season has gone for him. Look at how the script is being written for India throughout this test series.
Yeah.
Now, if you put Natarajan in the mix, he is just going to add the cherry on top. But you had a very technical reason for why you wanted Natarajan.
I badly wanted, ever since Zahir Khan and Ashwin Hera retired, we didn't have a good left arm marksman as a pace bowler. And Natarajan, for me, ever since the IPL, was fitting that bill.
What do you mean when you say marksman?
Marksman is basically, see, there are 2-3 kind of bowlers, right? The guys who go for pace. Like a McGrath was a marksman. You ask him to pitch the ball in the same spot day in, day out, he'll do that in his sleep.
Right.
And that's what we want. If you look at how Natarajan was going about, he was bowling very good lengths. He bowled amazing Yorkers once again. And I think we needed that mix of an angle. All the Australian batsmen have been playing right arm fast bowlers, right?
Yeah.
I always felt if you had that one left arm bowler, it will put doubts in the any opposition side, right? Suddenly the angle is changing, especially if the opposition side has more right hand batsmen. It's an awkward angle to play with. And on top of it, what Natarajan also did was he didn't leak runs. I think he gave at a run rate of 2 runs per over or something like that, which is fantastic considering the scenario, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that helps the other bowlers also. Shardul Thakur experimented a lot more. Natarajan kind of played the Pujara of the bowling attack.
So Australia end up making 369 in their first innings. They get all out. Credit to the Indian bowling.
Yeah.
369 may have looked like, oh, they got a little close to 400, but in retrospect, they were actually restricted by quite a lot by this Indian bowling attack.
When Labuschagne and I think Payne were going about it, you were thinking that, okay, these guys are going to get 400. And I was having a conversation with my friend and I was like, if they get anything less than 400, it is Australia's mistake. Technically, it means that India did a great job in restricting them. That's exactly what they did. They did a great job.
Oh, yeah. Shardul Thakur, 3 wickets. Washington Sundar,
3 wickets.
3 wickets.
And good wickets. It's not just any wickets.
Yeah.
And Natarajan, look who he picked. He picks Matthew Wade and he picks a centurion, Labuschagne, with a beautiful bouncer. And then he picks Hazelwood with a beautiful Yorker.
And Hazelwood was not getting out.
Yeah, he was driving the balls for 4s and doing all kinds where you felt like, oh, is he going to be that niggling 50-run partnership at the end of the day?
Exactly.
Natarajan comes, he's like, dude, no big deal.
He
piece
puts
of
a full
cake.
stop. Yeah.
I think Natarajan did a fantastic job. Not to take away anything from Siraj.
Oh, yeah.
Siraj was so beautiful with the new ball. He made the old ball talk. I think he would have gotten 2-3 wickets if not for the umpire's call,
Yeah. But just the fact that he got Warner really early. I mean, for Warner, everyone knows what a danger he is, even if he's half fit. But Siraj just seemed to have Warner's number, and really dispatching that guy early is a huge contribution.
Yeah.
And on the other side, side, it is Marnus Labuschagne's home ground. His
With
family
watching
his
him.
family is sitting and watching, and then he gets denied a 50 or 2 earlier in the series. He gets denied 100 once, but then he finally makes
when
it to
it
that
matters to the team.
Yeah.
He gets that 100. And what a innings. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we
Brilliant.
have to appreciate that guy. It was just round the corner that he would get that score.
Yeah.
Considering how Australian cricket is right now, I hope that they support that guy to prosper the way Steve Smith or David Warner has prospered.
Yeah, because especially if you see how the series went for Australian batting, if not for Labuschagne's consistent performance, they would have been in a much worse situation.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, he looks up to Smith, and a lot of the mannerisms, a lot of the style of batting as well, it seems to have rubbed off on him, and you couldn't pick a better source to get inspired by, like above 60 average.
To a point, apparently it's annoying Steve Smith. I think he started copying Steve Smith with like, no run.
Yeah,
Have you
he did.
seen that?
He did, yeah.
So
that was annoying for me to watch as well. Like,
yeah, but
if you want to imitate a guy, like go to a certain extent, but there's no reason to imitate this.
I mean, to the T.
It's okay if you play the shots. It's enough to have just one Steve Smith on the ground.
But as long as it is getting results for him, I'm sure like...
And his team, yeah.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
it doesn't make a lot of difference.
Absolutely.
I'm sure Steve Smith also enjoys it by now. He might have gone past the point where it's annoying to him.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the fact that he should be supported, because off the field, if you look away from his batting performance itself, the general vibe I got from this series was there was that incident of Shane Warne and Andrew Simmons getting caught in commentary talking about Marnus Labuschagne.
Yeah.
You know, that controversy.
Yeah.
They should hawkpile him, you know, something like that. It's so annoying what you're saying. And yeah, it was a bit annoying. On the ground as well, when he tried to keep the chatter up, he just couldn't do a typically good Australian job of it. It came down to the point of asking Gill who his favorite batsman was.
Yeah.
Like,
Which
is it
movies
Sachin?
did you watch?
Like, he stopped short of just asking Gill what his favorite color was.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Labuschagne probably is the only batsman across the series, both sides, who got out for very good balls. He didn't get out for a loose shot, barring that Siraj's first wicket where he flicked it straight to Gill, or even that was half a chance which Gill pounced on. But almost every other dismissal that he had was for good balls.
Yeah, I don't ever remember him throwing his wicket away.
Yeah.
But then not taking anything from him, he was also the luckiest batsman in the series. Like the luckiest. Like he had the charm with him. Seriously, how many lives?
Yeah.
And he always made use of those.
And we have one person to look at whenever Labuschagne got a chance. Because the first chance, the first lucky charm that was created for Labuschagne was by none other than Prithvi Shaw.
Prithvi Shaw.
Prithvi Shaw was the guy who everybody kept looking at. You started this.
What a series for Prithvi Shaw.
Yeah, on and off the field, as a substitute, as a stand-in fielder, or even as a drink. I'm sure he spilled water over all the players.
I'm sure there was something, because
he kept on messing up everything.
Such a comedy of errors. It culminated so perfectly in the final test at Gabba, where he almost cost T. Natarajan his debut wicket by almost colliding with Shardul Thakur.
Yeah.
While taking a catch. And then, of course, the next moment is just perfect.
Beautiful. I mean, there is no literature that can suffice to the beauty of that moment.
Fully express.
From, I don't know how it can happen. That throw. Where there was no need of hurry. There was no urgency.
Yeah.
There was no imminent or an opportunity of a run out or of any sort. He shoots the bum of Rohit Sharma, who's not even in the line of the wicket. Who's innocently standing at about short mid-off, and then from an angle which he couldn't even reach Rohit Sharma. And did you see how far the ball bounced?
Off Rohit Sharma?
Rohit Sharma.
Yeah. And let's just make everything clear. Let's just make this very clear. Rohit Sharma, in no angle, resembles a wicket or stumps, especially after COVID.
Yeah, and after that long holiday, the rest he got after that, his injury at IPL.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, a blind guy wouldn't mistake him for a wicket.
Yeah, he wouldn't be mistaken even for the biggest or the fattest of bats.
Yeah. No cricketing gear you can mistake Rohit Sharma with.
So, how much inspiration did Prithvi Shaw really take from Ravindra Jadeja? His fielding. That he just shot.
He just had to hit something.
Laser focus. Rohit Sharma.
Rohit Sharma, unfortunately. The one replacement. The point is when Prithvi Shaw was dropped, Rohit Sharma was not even in Australia.
Yeah.
It's so sad that he targeted him.
And it was just capped off perfectly by Rohit Sharma's reaction. Just that look back at him saying...
And that slow walk towards the ball.
And picking it up.
And picking it up even slower. Rohit Sharma is the king of reaction.
He is the king of reactions.
He is the king of reaction.
Anyone listening to ThyGap must know that at ThyGap, Brute and I, we celebrate Rohit Sharma's existence. Forget about his cricketing skill. Forget about his fielding brilliance. We just celebrate the guy breathing.
Yeah. We just want him around.
That's
all
it.
the time.
That's it.
Whether he's playing or not playing, there should be one camera dedicated to Rohit Sharma moving around in the pavilion or on the ground or anywhere he goes, in fact.
He is probably our spirit animal when it comes to cricket.
Yeah, true. Absolutely true. Solid. Solid, yeah. Solid.
But yeah, we have Smith coming back and showing the same aggression. Just it seemed like he was continuing from Sydney, which is why when Washington got him when he did,
it was a big deal.
It was a very big deal, and really
what
good,
better first wicket
and really great fielding placement.
Yeah, once again, kudos to the captaincy. They knew that was probably about a 10% chance of Smith playing it uppishly there, and right there, Rohit Sharma, brilliant fielder, and it just worked as a charm. I think they were looking at it to attack that particular side of the field for Steve Smith, and beautiful feeling.
And Australian captain Tim Paine coming back from the embarrassment of the Sydney result with intent and purpose and making a 50 in the first innings to take Australia to 369. In response...
Yeah, let's go to the first innings of India.
In response, Gabba. India find themselves at 187 for 6.
186 for 6. Pant gets out after a quick fire 30 odd runs.
Yeah.
And he was playing well.
He was
in the zone. He was in the groove.
Cameron Green wanted to have his own say on the matter.
Yeah. Cameron Green wanted to take revenge and cement his spot as an all-rounder in the Australian team, and takes a blinder to a very good ball, actually. It was one of the signs of how the Gabba pitch will play. Right? It was a very sharply racing ball. Probably on the hindsight, Rishabh Pant would be like, I should have gone over them. Slice over the
probably
gully or
because
whatever.
He tried to keep it down.
Yeah, he tried to keep it down, and it's a sharp catch. It came right from the middle of the bat.
Oh, it came so
at
quick.
A different angle also.
I still feel Pant did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
it was great that he was trying to keep it down. Actually, it's just Cameron Green pulled it off.
He pulled off a great catch and then started. I mean, up till that point, technically,
Agarwal and Rahane and Pujara all got decent starts.
All got decent starts. I think Hazelwood bowled really well. Cummins was decently good. Stark was kind of out of his element. We could start seeing that he was not doing much with the ball and all.
Yeah.
Biggest disappointment, once again, Nathan Lyon. Barring that wicket that he got of Rohit Sharma, which is also, I think Rohit Sharma gave away the wicket more.
And Rohit Sharma played a brilliant looking 44, but then he also broke a lot of hearts.
Oh, don't even get there. If you're going there, bogus. I don't even know the starting point of the disappointment I went through when he got out. If you look back, the shot was on. There was a chance there, and I think his calculation was right, but he couldn't execute it. Being a typical Indian fan, I would bring all the other aspects, the stage at which the game was, the time of the wicket, like it was almost like 4 overs to go or 6 overs to go, and he just had to play it off. You had Pujara on the other side, so you could have come out fresh in the morning and we would have had like a much better start for the day. But Rohit Sharma is Rohit Sharma.
Given his performance in Sydney, how good he looked, it just seemed like the script was written for him to go big in Gabba, and that's the reason why the amount of cry and anguish that came out from India,
especially Gavaskar was heartbroken. Gavaskar went on about it. He was like, you can't do this at this level, you can't play like this at this level. But do we blame Rohit Sharma for that?
I don't think we can. If there's anything I would blame Rohit Sharma, was his response probably was a little triggering, but I don't think you can.
I mean, even I don't have a problem with his response also, because I feel any response he would have given technically would have gone against him. Because he was just looking that good, dude. And for him to be in that zone and then throw his wicket away like that, and it's not the first time he did it. What pisses me off is at test level, Rohit Sharma has such huge potential. You deserve to have an amazing test record by the end of your career. Right?
And when he gets going, it's more of a flow.
Oh.
And the way he was flowing in that 44, I was fantasizing about 150.
Big century.
Yeah,
He's a big
big
century
daddy
guy.
100,
yeah,
yeah.
daddy 100 guy. So all you wanted him to do is like, he's already settled in. He just has to play these unrisky shots.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, if you look at the kind of ground Stark covered to pick that catch, it's not like he just moved 5 yards and he got the catch. He went a good 20-25 yards to his right.
Right. Just that marginal frustration that he didn't check his shot when he was not really to the ball.
Yeah, that was very heartbreaking. At that point, I felt so hurt.
Yeah,
like, I mean, I was hurting physically at that point.
Yeah.
Because I could see if he would have hung around for another 40 odd overs, things would have been so different.
Absolutely. And Australia has done so well to get India to 187 for 6.
Yeah.
After they've made 369, they have every reason to be absolutely jubilant with their performance. But then Shardul Thakur and Washington Sundar walk out.
And Shardul Thakur and Washington Sundar didn't think of the context, of the gravity of the situation, of the history of the ground, or anything of that sort. I think Shardul Thakur, the messages that he was supposed to deliver, I think he kind of took it to himself. Like, oh, I know how to play this because I already heard the inside juice of how to go about this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do that.
And the kind of drives that he hit.
Oh, the first pull shot that he played for a 6.
Yeah.
You felt like, oh, this guy's going to swing his bat and then that's that.
It's just going to be a quick, small
20, 25 kind of an innings.
He's going to be out.
Yeah. But not just the score. It's the amount of time that they kind of ate up.
Yeah.
That was another thing. Because once Pant got out, it was almost like, this is what Australians do. At Gabba, Australians go to a big lead and then attack in the second innings and then wrap up on the fourth innings. It's as simple. And up till that point, that whole theory of Australia wants to be on the top or probably wants to end the game by third day was kind of unfolding until these guys came. And that is the beauty of that partnership. They were like, 150, 120 odd runs, right? 123
record
partnership.
Oh, yeah.
And more than Shardul Thakur, I was even more impressed by Washington Sundar. He got hit. He ducked well.
Yeah.
He played some beautiful drives. Oh, yeah. Very conventional drives. He played some very good cut shots.
He played one unbelievable no-look 6. Of Nathan Lyon. Yeah, and with that record partnership, India get close to Australia 336 all out.
Yeah.
Hazelwood, a brilliant fifer. And what looked a distant possibility, now India just pulled another rabbit out of the hat to get close to Australia.
It was almost a magic show up till. Like, if you look back on the series up till this point, it was nothing less than that. Because every time you thought this is what Australians will do, Indians somehow managed to pour water over their efforts.
But in the second innings, Australian batting did not give in. They came back with stronger intent.
Yeah. Warner and Harris.
Yeah.
I think Warner was playing really well. Again, I think what start they got, about 80 odd runs before they lost the first wicket. And even Marcus Harris was playing good.
I think it was the highest opening partnership they had in the series.
Absolutely.
And Steve Smith again comes out in the same mode, still possessed. 55
good runs.
Brilliant.
And what a ball.
Yeah.
What a ball from Siraj to get him out. And that was a worrying sign for Indian batsmen. If Steve Smith, with all that demons behind his back supporting him, and after getting settled and flowing with runs and all, if he can get out, if the pitch can do that to a guy like Steve Smith, then that's worrying signs for Indian batsmen.
Yeah, and Siraj was consistently hitting those tracks.
Yeah.
He got Smith out and he got Payne out quickly just by hitting the tracks. Good balls.
He almost got Pat Cummins out with a screamer of a ball, but it just was too high. But if it was any lower, probably about like 3-4 inches,
it would have
less,
clipped the bails.
It would have been a brilliant ball. There's no way Cummins was blocking that. Absolutely. But that's the thing, right? This is where I say, like, Siraj actually didn't bowl badly in the first innings. He bowled really well in the first innings.
Yeah.
He just didn't get the wickets. He should have gotten at least 2 more wickets in the first innings. But umpires call, this and that, close chances here and there.
Yeah.
He just couldn't capitalize. He just didn't get...
The others ended up
getting those wickets, right? But in the second innings, I think Natarajan did what Siraj was doing. Natarajan completely blocked one side where the runs were not flowing.
Yeah.
And I think that is why they had lesser time to ball at India, because at the rate at which they scored those runs was not really fast paced.
After Warner left, yeah.
After Smith left and Labuschagne got out like cheaply, it was kind of not at that pace.
Yeah, and wickets were being taken. Sometimes wickets were falling in clumps. By the end of the day, you have Siraj with a brilliant fifer and a Shardul with a four-fer. And both of them were in competition almost, like who would get
it was almost like who will get the 5-wicket haul.
Yeah.
The only 5-wicket haul of the series from Indian. And ironically, Shardul Thakur takes the 5th wicket catch for Siraj.
Yeah. Wow, that takes us to the most mind-blowing final day of this entire series. Day 5, 4th test at Gabba.
300 runs.
300 plus runs to win the match. And I don't think anyone even imagined that a victory was on the cards.
No chance. If anybody says that, we are betting that India will win this match, they are lying through their teeth.
Absolutely. Because at best, I was hoping for a draw.
The draw was the win.
Yeah.
The draw was what will help us retain the trophy.
Yeah. The draw was the win. And I had also resolved to myself that even if we lose this and Australia get the series, the trophy, still
it was a great fight.
It was a great series.
Yeah, they didn't win the cup, but they won the hearts. I
hearts.
already started seeing those Instagram posts.
And we also saw what Siraj did with the cracks on day 4.
Right. So you're like, okay, now this is a guy who's playing the first time in Gabba and he did this.
Yeah.
Now there are 3 guys who grew up, playing in Gabba. So imagine what they can do. But
Shubman Gill.
What an innings. He deserved a century.
Yeah, absolutely.
He absolutely deserved a century. It was only a freak show that he missed out on scoring that. It was not a great ball. It was just a loopy outside the off-stump ball.
Yeah.
And Gill kind of went into the drive a little lazier than he would have played all day. And simple catch to Steve Smith for his standards. Unfortunate, but what an innings. What a start he gave.
Yeah, incredible foundation. And we watched as throughout the day Shane Warne was crying on commentary.
Yeah.
Nathan Lyon's strength is outside off. Why is he bowling middle and leg? And he was going on about it so much that I wouldn't be surprised that in the break time, someone may have passed a word, because the minute Nathan Lyon bowled outside off, he got Gill out at 91.
Yeah, but he didn't continue bowling there. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the point is, even if somebody comes and tells, oh, you know what, that's the setup to Gill, I wouldn't buy that, because you don't set him up for like 20 overs or 10 overs. You set him up for an over or 2 or 3 at max. Or it's say 5 hours at a stretch.
But yeah, we lose Gill finally, but then you have Pujara.
Oh, the biggest highlight of the series, right? And it couldn't have been better for Pujara to stamp his authority on his style of playing the cricket.
Yeah.
The blows that he took. He was almost John Wick for me. That win at Gabba was built on the foundation of the blows that Pujara has taken.
Yeah, about 11 or 12 blows to his body.
Probably his toe is the only one which didn't get hit. Or probably his groin. Apart from that, his chest, his back, his helmet, his elbow, his finger.
Ribs.
You name it, he got hit there.
Yeah.
And still, he just stood up as if nothing happened. He shrugged off and kept on batting.
It's only once when his finger was hit, he could not take that. Imagine the pain.
Yeah.
That he just threw his bat and he got to the ground and he was like grimacing in pain. It was insane to watch.
But still, he came back.
He still came back.
He still stood up. He didn't get retired hurt. There was no, let me go back and then come back again if needed or anything of that sort.
He got up again.
And he just continued playing, which was, I mean, for me as a cricket fan, that was a sight.
Yeah.
After Kumble's jaw fracture and still came out to bowl, this is probably the closest I can get emotional about, where you see this guy getting beaten up blow after blow.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing him calmly stand there. I'm sure even the Australians must be like, what is this guy made of, dude? How can somebody just keep playing like this?
Yeah, especially after there was that funny moment where Hazelwood is midway through his run up. Pujara suddenly stops him.
Yeah.
And Hazelwood's like, what's wrong? And it's like he shows a butterfly that's flying up.
Yeah.
And the next ball, Pujara gets hit on his body. Hazelwood's like, you see that one, mate?
Yeah. Yeah, that was good Australian banter. That was the ball talking.
And throughout the day, I remember, commentators were trying to figure out what exactly India was trying to do.
Yeah, where are they going with this?
Are they going for the win or not? is their plan to see things through till tea and then decide, or are they really going for a draw? It was all up in the air, and then Rahane came out to bat.
But what did you think? Did you think that they were going for the win?
I always thought that they would only go for a draw, considering all the factors that we mentioned before.
Right.
And I thought that was the smartest thing to do. I didn't even think considering a victory was even within the realm of logic for the Indian team, considering all the injuries and all that stuff. Like, if you just draw, you get the cup. So why
go through that grind?
And plus, it's 300 odd. And even if you look at the past records of successful chases in Gabba, failed chases, yes, Pakistan had crossed 400 once, but they failed to go through the line.
Yeah.
But the successful chases, it was way below 300. It was like 230, 240, like you said.
236. I'll tell you, it's not just at Gabba. Chasing 300 in the fourth innings, in general in test, is the uphill task, irrespective of the ground and irrespective of which pitch they're playing on or anything.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And then comes this small little innings of Rahane.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like, what are they up to?
Like, what are they really up to? Because traditionally, if Rahane is joining Pujara on the ground, just going by personality, you would expect that they're going to play safe. You would expect that they're going to think about building a foundation, not lose too many quick wickets. So that
holding the fort in a way.
Just holding the fort down. But then Rahane takes no time to settle down.
He just starts banging the ball.
And even the ball that he got out to, he was trying to...
On any other day, he wouldn't have tried to play the shot. Unless he came in... Imagine how determined he must be in his head, saying that I'm going to set an example for the rest of the batsmen. Because like we know in the aftermath that the order was to play the normal game. The one guy who probably has given the order, who didn't play his normal game, was Rahane. And you can make out that he's playing that innings not for himself, but for the team.
Definitely not for himself, because that's not how he normally plays.
Right.
And so when I saw that knock of Rahane's, that's when I understood these guys are actually going for it.
So
and I couldn't believe it.
So I had a fleeting thought, because I saw Shubman Gill's innings. And you're like, okay, if this guy continues, there is a chance, because
definitely
he's scoring at a good rate. Then Gill gets out, then Rahane comes in and he pulls a ball for a 6 and then like kind of drives a couple of balls for 4, and then you're like, okay, is he also going for the win? And then he gets out, then Pant comes in, and now you're like, okay, seems like everybody's going to go for the shots, right? Because I think they're going to win. But Pant surprisingly plays a very mellowed innings. The first 30 odd balls, he hardly scored 6 or 7 runs. And even those 6-7 runs are not something that it's not like he's hitting the ball and it's going to the fielder and is not able to find the gap or anything. He's basically leaving the balls and he's defending the ball. He's not looking like that conventional, where Pant comes, starts hitting the ball hard and fielders are feeling the weight of the ball when they catch it and all. And you're like, okay, so now they're not going to risk it. And you still have about 200 odd runs to get. And you're like, okay, maybe they're not going for that. This is because there is not much of batting to come. Because now you have Shardul Thakur, you have Mayank Agarwal, you have Shardul Thakur and Washington Sundar, and then you have the tail, right? And we know what the tail could do. And again, in the tail, Saini is injured. The one tail-ender who could probably hold his bat. So maybe they're not going to take that chance. The funny thing is, the more the innings progressed, you just didn't figure out how the number was reducing. And that's where I started thinking, like, what are these guys doing? How are they getting these runs? Doesn't seem like they're going for it. It was almost like Rishabh Pant was on a diet, and every time he had a craving of a sweet or a chocolate, he just hit that 1-6. And then again he went back to his shell, and you're like, okay, it's just that he's giving in for the temptation once in a while, but he's not really scoring runs.
And Rishabh Pant, just by virtue of being Rishabh Pant, whenever he walks onto the ground, especially in Australia, the chatter automatically goes up.
The noise increases.
Because players obviously will have this obligation to give back to Rishabh Pant what he gives them.
Absolutely.
When he's behind the stumps.
I think that's a curse that every wicketkeeper has to live with. And Rishabh Pant is especially a little more chatty about how he goes about with his work.
And there's also the added factor that he's a guy who likes to go for his shots. So now the opposition team knows that we just have to lay a trap. We just have to tempt this guy.
Tempt him enough that he'll just throw his bat. And he did throw his bat. If it was not for that one ball that turned so much and Payne, messing up that stumping, he might have gotten out. Like if it was any less turn but that was the only chance that he gave.
That was the only chance he gave. But to be fair to Payne, I've watched replays of that ball again.
It's a tough grab.
It's a really tough grab.
Yeah.
It
It's a
just
tough
shot up. It just shot up beyond his shoulder. And if you also notice what Pant did, by the time Payne would have reached the ball and actually come back to the stump, Rishabh Pant just looped his bat around
and just banged it
into the crease. Like, it was too quick. I don't think Payne would have made it also.
I mean, it would have been a close call, but that's half a chance that he gave still.
The only keeper who would have stumped Rishabh Pant in that same situation, I think, would be Dhoni, because he would just hit the ball with his glove. He would not even
he
try
would
to
have
catch
done
it.
something.
He would have just TT shot or tennis shot onto the
slap
stumps.
it onto the stumps.
It's only Dhoni who does that. So Tim Payne, the way the ball shot up, even if
it
he
was
would
a
have
very
grabbed
tough chance. It was a very tough chance.
Pant
but
came back in too quickly also.
It was half a chance. It's a half a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the beauty again, right? Pujara and Pant.
Pant-Pujara show, repeat
of Sydney. Only this time, it was Pujara who couldn't go through.
Yeah.
He was the first one to fall. And once again, Pat Cummins. What a ball. The new ball was taken. That was exactly what was needed to be done. And Cummins does that.
Yeah, and the same...
Beautiful ball.
The same ball that Cummins bowled Pujara and got him out. Earlier in the same match, the same thing happened. Only thing, the umpire did not raise his finger.
Yeah.
And now umpire did raise his finger.
Right.
And it was umpire's call both times. But Pat Cummins, for a guy who never seems to be going out of energy after bowling 100 overs along with his partners, every time Australia needs something and nothing else is working out because, of course, their tactics, they still turn to Pat Cummins, and he always comes in, he always creates that opportunity.
Absolutely. And it's not just the overs they bowled during the match. Imagine the number of overs they might have bowled in the nets.
Yeah.
Cumulatively, these guys bowled a lot of overs.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, it might be international level. Yes, it might be you're talking about the top athletes or the top this thing. They're humans.
Yeah.
And what really amazed me is even in that situation, they just didn't give Cameron Green any balls. No overs to Cameron Green. Ball is turning and acting funny when Lyon is bowling.
No spells for Marnus.
No Marnus, no Steve Smith. What are you thinking? I mean, it was almost like you had a sign. You're seeing the opposition side getting dismantled with injuries because of overworking and all that. Within your own team, one of the prime bowlers, Mitchell Starc, is kind of like, started showing niggles. Take the hint. Like, start distributing the workload. You can't just ask two prime bowlers. When things are not happening, you better give a chance to these guys.
Or just roll the dice.
Yeah, roll the dice and see. Give like a 5-over spell to Labuschagne.
Yeah.
You have runs to play with.
Yeah.
When Pant is not getting attempted by Lyon, give it to Labuschagne.
Yeah.
All the more reason he'll turn the ball into Pant. Maybe he'll take more chances with Labuschagne because the ball is coming into him.
Yeah. No, it's a valid point. If Lyon is failing to tempt Pant, bring in Marnus.
Yeah.
Probably Pant will feel like I can't take this guy
Yeah,
out.
because the ball will turn into me so I can hit with the spin. It's a much safer option.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It just baffles me even today that why did they not bowl these bowlers?
Another thing Shane Warne kept saying, give Marnus a ball. Give Marnus a ball.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Never happened. But having said that, Pant played such a beautiful innings.
Oh.
That innings from Washington Sundar, especially that over of Pat Cummins.
Oh, yeah.
Where he smashed
Washington
Sundar.
He unleashed chaos when he came out.
Yeah.
And it's not
from
just...
the word go.
Yeah, and it's not just the balls he hit. Because so many things were happening when he was on the crease. There were balls that he was not even hitting, that they were going to the
for
boundary.
4. Yeah. It was almost like...
just insane.
Yeah. But I will never forget that
hook shot.
That hook of Pat Cummins.
Yeah.
Almost conventional. It was almost like a top order batsman playing that hook shot. Beautiful shot. And I think like when he scored that back-to-back boundaries, one for a 6 and one for a 4.
Yeah.
I think at that point, if I was Tim Payne, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
My one apple card is now failed. Right? This guy has taken him on. Now I don't know how much more I can abuse him.
Yeah.
Literally, I think I'll call it an abuse because the number of overs that Pat Cummins was bowling, it was no less than abuse. You just kept abusing that habit. And then Pant comes out, brings out his T20 side, laps off Lyon. Up till that point, I didn't see India was going for it. Because at one point, it was almost about 6 runs per over. You hoped, like a typical Indian, right? You hoped that I wish Pant does a miracle, like starts bashing everybody. But suddenly you see Sundar playing those shots and you're like, hey, wait, why is Sundar doing this? It's supposed to be Pant. That's what Pant did all this while. He settled in so that he can come out with this burst in the end.
Right.
But then Sundar does that and does a good job about it.
Yeah.
And the other indication which I felt that India has already won it was was when Sundar got out.
Yeah.
Absolutely no celebration.
They knew.
They just saw it that this is it. This is done and dusted. And why I find that funny or find that weird is any other situation. If there were 20 overs to go and there were 10 runs to win, it's a fair call. Yeah, the match is over.
Yeah.
There were only 4 overs to go and 10 runs to win. And you have guys like Pat Cummins, Hazelwood, and Mitchell Starc. They can bounce out those 4 overs, which they did all day.
And they just did get quick wickets.
Yeah.
Mayank Agarwal went quick.
Yep.
Washington Sundar went, well, after
No.
Washington Sundar,
No, Agarwal went out first.
Agarwal went quick.
Yeah. After Pujara, Agarwal went out quickly.
Yeah.
Then Sundar and he got about like a 60 odd runs of partnership. And then, Sundar went out. But still, look at the things. It was a fairly new ball. It was just about 20 overs old. So it still had some juice in it.
Yeah.
They could have bounced them out,
Yeah.
basically. All they had to do was get Shardul Thakur on strike and kind of bounce him out. Or
Yeah.
do something about it, right?
Yeah.
If 1 over was a maiden, slight pressure would have increased
Yep.
on the Indian batting, which is what the old Australian team would have done. They would have bounced on to all of these guys.
Yeah.
But when they didn't celebrate for Sundar's wicket, and it was a very rash shot, let's accept, right?
Yeah.
And while Pant was telling that, just take a single.
Yeah. He did tell him.
Don't like go brave about this. Just take a single, it's fine. Sundar goes for it, no harm done, he gets out. Any other Australian team, I would have bet my life, they would have pounced on that opportunity. Because after Sundar getting out, all they needed is one more wicket.
That's
and they're exposed.
That's
Indian
it.
team is basically Saini and half
Siraj.
and
Natarajan.
so and so, right? So it was very weird to see the body language of Australians like that.
Yeah, and then finally Pant hit that shot, which inexplicably no one expected
again.
that to go to the boundary. Like even the
Once
commentators
again.
were shocked
You had mid-off and a mid-on all day long.
all day long.
Where was the mid-off and mid-on? And especially when you didn't want Pant to get back onto the strike. You want Pant on the strike? Put a short mid-off. You want to bowl to Saini, right? So you don't want to give that single and make Pant come back to strike the next over.
Yeah.
And you just don't have any fielder in the circle saving the single.
It looked like Hazelwood wanted to really bowl wide outside off, but it just came a little bit into Pant's arc.
Yeah. And he didn't time it well also. He just
Just bunted it.
Bunted it.
And that's the reason why commentators on both sides were shocked that it actually went to the boundary. Man, and when that happened...
I think at that point I went numb. When the ball, for the next 10-15 minutes, I was just looking at Sanjay Manjrekar shout about that boundary.
Yeah.
I just wanted them to go on and keep showing that forever. Till they go to the hotel rooms. I didn't mind seeing it till that point.
Yeah, don't turn off the cameras.
Yeah, don't turn off the cameras. Don't show it to crowd or anything.
Yeah.
I just want to see these guys' faces. I just want to see them relish all the hard work they did, all that they went through, and finally pull up that victory, which nobody saw it coming.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't give credit to Cricket Australia for that beautiful small clip that they put out. Just the moment before India hit the winning runs.
Right.
And they added that music to it. And they were showing players' faces just beyond the boundary line.
Yeah, they're waiting for the ball to cross the boundary.
Mayank, Siraj,
Natarajan,
Rahane,
Shardul,
they're all just waiting and looking. And then the runs hit and then they start running out.
towards the...
I cannot imagine ever BCCI
doing that
shooting,
kind of,
doing that and then editing it and then having that moment. So Cricket Australia, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful clip to have, man. It was so hard to believe. It took so much time to sink in.
Yeah, I feel it still didn't sink into me, to be very honest. Like, even when I look at the highlights even now, I still kind of wonder, like, how did these guys pull it off?
Yeah, how did this all happen?
When did they, how did they figure out that they're going to win? All those questions, I just wish, I'm sure this is like the curiosity for a lot of Indians, where they just want to meet one of these players and say, like, dude, tell me everything.
Yeah.
Tell me every single thing. What was happening in your head? Like, at what point were you feeling confident or whatever it is? Right,
which is why I also want to give credit to Ravi Ashwin for his YouTube series.
Kuti Stories. Yes.
He brought out a lot of things that none of us even knew about.
Yeah.
He got Bharat Arun, he got Ash Sridhar, he got Vikram Rathod. And man, all those stories are so amazing to listen to.
Absolutely. And the kind of aftermath also, right? Like what happened. All the so-called pundits who predicted, the 4-0s.
Yeah, then 3-1.
Then 3-1, and all of them kind of took a backseat. The amazing thing that I also felt was no commentator who were there at the ground, they didn't give any interview, right? They didn't come out and give their 2 cents about how great this win is. Nobody gave an exclusive of sorts of what happened, what they just witnessed. Barring for one guy. One guy comes out and starts rambling the script.
Oh, the star.
The star of the Australian cricket team.
The Jose Mourinho.
The Alex Ferguson
Oh.
of the Australian cricket team. Justin Langer comes out and gives that speech of sorts. I don't know, do you call it a speech? Would you have called it a speech?
Yeah, speech, theatrical, I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it was definitely, it was something. Like, I really raised my eyebrows when I heard that for the first time.
So this is what I want to ask you, Bogus. When you heard that, I mean, we had this conversation the moment we saw that interview or whatever. When you heard that statements from Justin Langer, what was going through your mind?
I was just thinking, this is yet again PR, deflection. Say something strong enough, forceful enough. And these are strong words, like never, ever, 3 times he said ever, underestimate the Indians. That kind of a thing, it is just, I could see it that if any Indian fan hears these words, that's just going to stick in their mind.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of reaction from the Indian side as well. They were like overjoyed. And then on the Australian side, just the strong words that he chose, everyone's going to focus on those words for some time because it's out of character for Australians to come out after a match and make a statement like that.
Right.
So now if everyone is focusing on something else, it's Justin Langer's magic trick. Oh, look at this rabbit that I pulled out of the hat.
Distraction.
Don't ask any questions about,
what we did wrong.
Don't ask any questions about why the bowling failed to take wickets.
Yeah.
Don't ask where Usman Khawaja is. All these things.
Don't ask whose sandwich I ate. Okay. Don't ask why the pitch didn't play according to us.
My God. The sneaky suspicion that we had after Sydney. After Gabba.
After Melbourne, for me, the first signs that I saw was in Melbourne.
Yeah, for me, Melbourne, I was still caught up in the drama of Indian comeback and all that.
For me, it was like, when Melbourne happened, I was like, something is off. Then Sydney, I was almost like, this is not happening on the ground.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
There are enough an upty number of signs that this is not happening on the ground. Then Gabba happened. And for me, I was almost sure like, this is definitely not happening on the ground.
Which Australian player would you pick out and say
that it's because of you?
It's because of this guy. Or which bunch of players even would you pick out and say it's because of these guys?
It was almost like they were putting a lot of effort in the wrong place.
Exactly.
And it was not even their choice of place.
Yeah.
And then I hear this interview. The first thing that I felt was denial.
Denial is not just the longest river in Egypt.
Denial was what I heard. It was all, yes, what you said was right. It was distraction, yes. It was a PR stunt, yes. But I saw denial.
Yeah, and when you told me denial, I was like, absolutely.
Because what followed, I mean, people have to stick around to hear that.
Oh, yeah. All the skeletons that came out of the closet and are still in the process of coming out of the closet. Stick around to come back for part 5 of True Grit Down Under, where we go deep and deeper into the things that were unspoken of, the things that are lying beneath the surface that certain people are scared of even bringing up,
and one who brought up was never seen again.
Was never seen or heard from again. But ThyGap podcast will go boldly where no man has ever gone before.
Because we can.
Because we can. And you don't want to miss this. This is the post-series review and what exactly is going on in that Australian dressing room. Make sure you write to us at mindthygap@gmail.com. What was your headspace when the Gabba greatness happened? When that Gabba tour was finally conquered? Hit us up on our DMs, on our socials, Instagram @_ThyGap, Twitter @ThyGap. And before we sign off, as always, what do we say?
ThyGap. Subscribe.
And share. Hey, thanks for listening. You can follow this podcast on Spotify to get notified of new episodes every Thursday. We're also on Apple Podcasts for those of you who have partaken in the forbidden fruit. If you liked what you heard, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. Say anything like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. A rating and a comment really helps us out. It's free, and I'm told that's a great price. But enough about us, huh? Tell us about yourself. Leave us a comment. Our Twitter is @ThyGap, and we are _ThyGap on Instagram.